The Monday Race Club continues. Welcome everyone here on this Monday evening, 1st of March. And here we go for race number 3 of 11 in this season. We go to Mexico, and this is the track. First little introduction of the track we are here in tonight. We see the track in Mexico City on the outskirts of the Mexican biggest capital city. Actually, the track difficulty is set to easy, well, more or less. Especially the intermediate sector has a lot of difficult fast-paced turns to cope with. And we see a 4.3 kilometers long track, a monstrously long start-finish straight. It's actually the longest rundown in the whole season from the starting grid to the first turn. Let's have a look at how the Monday Race Club is going into this event. We see a 18 minutes qualifying followed by a 50% race. That is something approximately around about 30 laps here in Mexico. We see equal car performances, safety car, VSC, all these rules are on, of course. We see regular corner cutting, so not the strictest version. And I can already feel a few sighs of relief from some drivers, especially in these fast-paced turns in sector 2 and 3. Then manual race start, of course. Here's the rest of the assists. We see traction control is set to medium, and gearbox has to be can be manual, and the pit assist is on. That means you do not have to worry when coming into the pit lane, but this is not the biggest issue here in Mexico, because you rather have to watch out not to miss the pit entry in case you have maybe some front wing damage. Yeah, my name is Seb Bauer. Glad you're with us tonight here on my YouTube channel for this race event. I step in for Mr. Ferguson, who is unavailable for tonight, and so I have a little, guest broadcasting, I might like to call it, here for the Monday Race Club, and on one of those tracks that I like a lot, so that fits me rather well, I would like to say. Let's have a short look around the lobby as we still have a few moments of time. Good evening to all those 20 drivers in here. Well, welcome, and I hope you will have a joyful evening, you and we all together, of course. And we have seen 2 races already. The overall standings are very level, very open, everything still, I would like to say, because the number 1 and number 2, Chris, DC and Hort, I hope I pronounced your name correctly, are standing with level 36 points on P1 and P1, so to say. And let's have a short look. I hope that those guys have managed to enter. This is me, hello. And I'm still very unfamiliar with the names, I have to admit, because there it is. There's the first one in the Alpha Tauri, and I think it was a Haas who is there it is, the first one from France. Good evening, bonjour, Chris DC. I was thinking about or expecting if he might be from Washington DC, but no, he's a Frenchman. And I'm trying to cope with all the live messages, of course, so whoever has a question, whoever wants to shoot me or us a mail, just do it. I will try my best to bring it all in the next 1.5 hours or something. Yeah, and the session timer is ticking down, so in just a few moments, off we go to Mexico. There it is, the first picture. I really like it. The baseball stadium, the stadium Forosol Here you can see it from the helicopter perspective. Foro Sol, the home of the Diablos Rojos de Mexico, the baseball team, the Red Devils of Mexico. And a very, very cool idea to get a Formula One track into this stadium section. 45,000 of audience, of stands watching the cars go very slow there. So they do have a moment of time to have a look at the cars and to cheer to Checo Perez, of course, mostly. And the full grid is checking in for our 18 minutes qualifying first. First thing to watch is always the weather, of course. It looks like a fair weather, sunny, dry conditions here in Mexico. I have seen a few rainy events here in Mexico too, but not today, at least not for the qualifying. So the Monday Race Club has a little tradition. I will try my best to follow this tradition. This is to bring in a bit of information about two drivers, and I have some information about two drivers here, and whoever of those two guys will leave his garage first, I will ride on board with him for a moment. So the one is Morgan and the other is Carl Edens, BIT. As I said, I struggle a bit with names. BIT. Mr. Edens is still in his garage. The other one would be Morgan or Moch. Morgan Stubbs. Still searching for his name. Yeah, sadly, Mr. BIT is still standing in the pits, so I can't. The one that I found, the one that I could tell something on, is still standing. The other one I don't find here at the moment, so let's for the moment have a glimpse at our host, Mr. Singletrack. And so this is a tradition of mine, a little tradition of mine, and until I found a moment to cope with the league's tradition, let's stay with my little tradition first, because I always tend to ride with the first driver on board a little bit, sit on his shoulder while he's getting impeded there. Our Mr. Host just got impeded on my little tradition, and I intended to bring in some information, a bit of feeling for the track, but this, yeah, we will have to do later then, I'm afraid. So anyway, we see the first times coming in. The first pole time at 1:15.1 by Tomiko in the Renault. That's already a rather a good one, I would like to say. The first drivers on mediums, 2.5 seconds behind him. And here is the first one I can talk about a little bit. BIT. That is Mr. Carl Edens from Leicestershire, and he has some interest in manga and anime and wrestling. Okay, so I hope he doesn't wrestle on the track too. And he is playing darts and snooker, so very, very, yeah, British interests, I would like to say. And he's 26 years old and a big Vettel and Schumacher fan. Yeah, so actually the first part, it seemed very British. The second part of your interests are very German. So I am German too by Jeopardy, and I can totally relate to you being Vettel and Schumacher fan. You didn't say which Schumacher, but I suppose you will call on Michael. And yeah, applause from me. That was my youth and childhood idol likewise. And he says that he's been watching Formula 1 since 1999 and has been playing the video games from the age of 5. So yeah, he totally is into Formula 1, totally a Schumacher Vettel fan. So yeah, very, very cool stuff. I can totally relate. And last sentence is that he's an autist. So cool that you're with us. And yeah, fingers crossed for you, my dear German Formula 1 driver fan. And I finally found the other one. Thanks for handing me the name. That's Stoop. Sadly, Stoop right now is sitting in his garage, but I will try to get back him as soon as times allow. And we see Carl Edens pushing himself onto P11. P11 doesn't sound that great, that popular, but we have seen him doing this on mediums, and for mediums the time is rather okay, I would like to say. Still not that competitive yet, and I am very sure that he will have another shot on softs then later. Meanwhile, we have seen a lot more times being posted. Tomiko still our pole setter, but our bald boy is just 17 thousandths of a second behind, so just a little bit more than a glimpse of an eye that he was slower than Tomiko. And the first 8, the top 8 have been running on softs. The top 6 are within 1 second. So, and now Mr. Stoop 334 is on an out lap again. He will start a hot lap in just a moment, and now as high as I can depict him, here's the information about him. He is called Morgan or Moch. Morgan Stubbs. Good evening, I can understand your nickname now. He is 24 years old, from Middlesbrough, an RAF mechanic, and he is into boxing, rugby and motorsport. So yeah, the physical and rough sports he is into, it seems. And he is a Kimi Räikkönen fan, and from the younger guys, a Lando Norris fan. And he boxes for the rough era RAF, I don't know. I have not heard that, but it's maybe a boxing league, I suppose. And yeah, and he used to grass track old minis. I am not very sure what this hobby shall be, but okay. Yeah, thanks for being with us, and likewise to you and to everyone else, of course. Crossed fingers for a cool and joyful race evening here today. So meanwhile, approximately half the quali time is through. We are at the midway mark of the quali. Let's have a short look and a short rundown of our standings here. At the moment we still see Tomiko, who's in the pole, but he improved his time a little bit. So the bald boy was within 17 thousandths earlier. Now he is 64 thousandths away from Tomiko, still very close. But Tomiko was able to push the limits by half a tenth. Not really much, but improvement is an improvement, I would say. Then we see where are our championship contenders, P1 and 2, P1 and P1, as both are level on points, both with 36 points, Chris DZ and Chord. Chris is on P5 and Chord right behind him on P6, 4/10 away of each other. And we see, by the way, on P3, 4 and 5 of our overall standings, BIT, so Carl Edens, who we just talked about, who is on P13 right now after his hot lap time from mediums. Then we see Avinash, who is ranked in last position, did not post a time yet. Avinash is on the 4th overall standing position, 11 points behind our leading couple. And then in 5th overall, L. Davis with 21 points, so he's 15 behind the leaders. And he is sitting on P6 here right now in his McLaren with 1.2 seconds of gap to Tomiko. So it's still two drivers who did not set a time yet. That's Met96 LFC. I suppose that means he's a Liverpool fan. And Avinash, as just mentioned, both sitting still in their garage with mediums. And just when I say it, Matt put on softs. But with 6.5 minutes left, I'm not sure if they can have 2 hot laps. I'm afraid they can only run once, and once overall then. And yeah, Fabian Scholten just told me thanks again that Morgan Moch is Stoop. Yeah, I found him in the meantime. And yeah, and Matt, the baby Liverpool fan, has now gone out of his pit. He is ruled on an out lap, and right now we are standing here with Jonso, who is on a hot lap. Is he improving? He is not. He's on an in lap. Back to his pit crew. Let's have a look where some action might go on. Who is maybe running on a hot lap? Oh, that was some wall connection here for Smith, and therefore no improvement for him. He might have opted to come back to the pits, but okay, it is as it is. What is Oliet doing? No, nothing. On a in lap back to his pit crew. Bald Boy is returning to his pits. No, still on a hot lap, and no improvement for him. He should have returned, I would like to say, too. Who else we could have a look on? Let's jump back to Mr. Edens in his racing point here at the end of Sector 2. No, the beginning of Sector 2, in these fast turns, the unrhythmic turns, just a little bit of a lift in the last one. Now, oh yes, improving himself by a second, because the earlier posted lap was on mediums, so he will jump upwards a lot of positions. but I think he's still too far away to really attack the pole. One right hand turn left and the time will stop for him at a 1:15.7, giving him P8. While we have watched him, Plasterer Dan has checked out. He has crashed maybe. There is a Williams colored dot in the second sector standing next to the track, so he is finished then, maximally in P18. But let's have a look what Matt is doing before we have a look at the pole discussion. Matt doesn't do anything, 4.5 seconds the gap to Bald Boy. Bald Boy, speaking about Bald Boy, we have a swap, position swap, P1 and 2. Bald Boy is now our pole setter, and right when I say Strippy Duchess has blasted his time by only 24 thousandths. New pole setter, Strippy Duchess. Let's have a look at him real quick, not on a fast lap anymore, but let's have a look at his Williams. And yeah, Tomiko was standing in the pole for the last 15 minutes or so, and right when I said it, we have 2 new pole setters. And the time does not look good, I think. Yeah, Tomiko already checked out. Strippy Duchess, Bald Boy returned to the pits here, but they might not have enough of time for another shot. Bald Boy maybe, if he hurries, he can maybe have another shot. But for Strippy Duchess, I think it's too late, so he will be finished. Tomiko is finished, Strippy Duchess is finished. Bald Boy is maybe finished. And what are the guys behind doing? Let's have a look. More here. He is improving by 1.5 tenths in sector 1. So here he enters the unrhythmic fast turns of sector 2. Something like not that evil copy, if you can say so, from the Austin turns, and he is still improving himself a little bit more than 2/10, but this will not be enough to push for the pole, would not even be enough to overtake Tomiko. And yeah, he improves by 4.5 tenths, has had a bit of corner cutting there, but the game accepted it, still didn't bring him a lot. He improves but will stay in 4th position, and it looks like Bald Boy was able to get out on a hot lap, but was it still in time? Will he really have a chance to push for another hot lap? He is trying to get through this out lap now as fast as he can, of course. The minimap is in red color, means that he has corner cutted. This lap is invalid, of course, but he doesn't care of this lap. He just needs to hurry back over the start finish line, but this will not work. 10 seconds left. He is in Photosol, but not enough time left for him. 5, 4, 3. No. The quali is over. Congratulations to Strippy Duchess for the pole position, followed by Bald Boy. Oh no! And we see a late grid penalty causing a collision. Mr. Edens will be ranked back by 5 positions. We will have a look at the whole starting grid in just a moment. So for some reason, the game has decided that someone isn't finished yet. We are still waiting. The only one who does not have a checkered flag next to his name is only Avinash. And right when I say it, here we go. Now officially the qualifying has ended, and we will have a look at the starting grid right here. Stripinachis in the pole position, followed by Bald Boy. Then we see Tomiko in third, Tomo in fourth, L. Davis in fifth, Era Voice in sixth, Hort in seventh, Stoop in eighth, Chris 9, Yonso 10th, 11 and free option of tire for Oilets, P12 for BIT, Edens, then 13 Scoot Aim, P14 Smith, 15 Single Track, 15 Avinash, 16 Avinash, 17 for Tom Brown, 18 Mark Hughes, 19 Plasterodan, and in last position is Matt, the Liverpool fan. So the drivers have approximately half a minute left of time to bring in some last setup changes and the tire strategy for the race. I will step aside for a moment and will be back you shortly. So the session timer is gone, the 30 seconds are over, the weather is again very nice and fair, dry weather, at least for the start. And we are still waiting for Tomiko here, and then we will head into the race. This is it. We will have a installation lab, always very good for me. I'm grateful for that, to bring in all the informations, all the settings that you need. First look goes out to the tires, of course. We see, ooh, have a look at that. I did definitely not expect this. Yeah, tires, as we speak about, here's the tire strategy presented to you by the Amazon Web Services. And Mario Isola from Pirelli said we will definitely have a two-stop strategy, and that was depicted here likewise. So the game and Amazon and Pirelli and whoever expects two stops. Everyone except Scoot is starting on softs. The top 10 have to. You know the rule, or we know the rule, that you have to start on the set of tire you have qualified on if you are in the top 10. From P11 on, you have a free option of tire, and everyone has opted for the softs. We see the first two who touched during the installation lab, so they are removed by the game and will have to start with a bit cooler tire. And yeah, we've seen Stripidachis flying through his installation lab. The last guy is still in Forosol, when he is almost standing in his starting box here already. So the grid is finally steadily forming up. Here we can see the full grid, and then let's just hope for a not glitch, no malfunction of the game we've seen in this already a few times. No, not today. The Mexican Grand Prix on Monday. Here we go. Rather good start from Duchess. I think he gets away cleanly. Renault, good start right behind him. That's Tomiko. Everyone else got away rather cleanly. No big issues yet, but here is turn one. Here's turn one. We see an Alpha. Oh, the Haas spinning. There's a Haas going sideways. Yellow, therefore, another McLaren who took a wide lane and eventually spun. And still some yellow, a lot of leaves flying here, but actually not the biggest problem. No big crashes. There was some contact between an Alpha Tauri and a Mercedes running wide. So there was some action, but no terminal crashes, no big crashes, I would like to say. The Duchess still in front, ahead of Tomiko and Bald Boy, and then the big losers, the last three, Stoop, Ranzo and L. Davies. While we see some big winners of the start, especially in the midfields. That's maybe Avinash +8 or a +7 by BIT. So like always in lap 2, these standings are confused. So let's just wait 1 or 2 sectors and then everything should be fine again, while we see a little bit of a slide here from Matt. Bit of a locked tire, but it was okay. Again a slide, sliding until someone overtakes him. Because Chris, our overall leader, says thank you and slips through for P14. Chris had an awful start too. -5. The only one worse was Bald Boy. Bald Boy, what's going on here? Bald Boy, one of our top runners after the qualifying. He has spun. Does he have front wing damage? No. Just a spin for him, but just, yeah, he lost lots of positions. He's ruled in last position now. Wow. So the big winner of the start, definitely Avinash and Mr. Edens, who sit in 6 and 8 here right now. The big losers, Bald Boy, Stoop, L. Davis and Yonso. And here we are with our race leader. Everything tidy, everything fine for him. 1.3 seconds ahead of Tomo. So he pushed his number 1 rival for the win here out of the DRS window. 5 seconds penalty for Smith. So now the tactics begin. We see Avinash, one of the big winners of the race, up into 5th from the bottom of the grid, and he is now in the DRS window behind Yonso. And there's someone has spun. Who was that? Stripidachus, the leader. I just talked about him, that he was so tidily leading, and oh, I think he wanted to enter the pit lane but couldn't because all he had was in the way. And does he have damage? He does. No, he does not. He does not. No damage for him. And already the second driver of the top row who spun in lap 1. So all of a sudden Tomo is our leader. We have yellows in all 3 sectors, but no safety car. First pit stop from L. Davis, who stopped for hard. Oh, slide, and eventually the crash between Strippy Duchess and the Mercedes. Who's the other Mercedes? It is Scoot. And Strippy Duchess has left the session. He's still driving. I think he was just angry about the second spin. And here is Smith. What's going on with him? We see a lot of drivers spinning here in the first lap, or not the first lap, but in the early stages of the race. So obviously some tire problems for a few guys. Maybe they are all a bit overheating on their tires. Have a look here how he wiggles. Does Smith return to the pits? Yes, he does. No, it was Bald Boy. Who's now running on hards? Strippy Duchess, we need to have an eye on. He is ghosted. Strippy Duchess is out for the moment. At least he is not controlling his car. The CPU has taken over, while we see Mark Hughes having some troubles in front of him. And the CPU will overtake his car as long as he returns. I hope that he will. I hope that he will have a chance to sort out his internet connection troubles. But I think it's safe to say that he had a really bad start of the race after a really good qualifying. So let's jump to our leaders. Now it's Tomo in the lead, and who has just picked up a +3 seconds penalty. I say the same about him as I said about the other two leaders before, because everything looks rather tidily on his end, and right when I say it, he will probably now have some troubles. And there it is, as he's running wide. He's 1.3 seconds ahead of Era Voice, and Era Voice I think is Fabian Scholten by his real name. There is this one Renault behind him. You can ignore him. That's either Tomiko or Matt. It's Tomiko. Lapped already, and it seems like he is out of his car likewise. What an interesting turns of events here, because we've seen three very, very good drivers in the quali. That was Tomiko, Bald Boy, and who was third? Just scooting through the names. What's Tomiko doing? I'm not really sure. I think he's ruining his engine. Very late upshifting for him. Anyway, our top Strippy Duchess, of course, the pole setter, and all of those three good qualifiers are, not out, but totally lost here in this race. Tomiko seems ghosted. He's jumpy, so he does have connection issues. Sorry, but I cannot watch him. And so the top three qualifiers are more or less out of this race, at least out when speaking about the victory. And Tomo now our leader, 1.6 seconds away of Fabian Scholten, and Hort then in third. Hort is in the DRS window, but rather far away. Alpha Tauri is split here. He will be able to close up to Scholten. Maybe he does not, because Scholten is having DRS likewise, I suppose. Yes, it is, as there is this ghosted Tomiko jumpy lap car ahead. And Scholten further is already in the DRS window of Tomo likewise. So no real advantage for anyone. Here we see BIT, Mr. Edens, who had this grid penalty of +5, was somewhere back in the starting grid and now is up to P6. And what a bad day it is for the Renault. Both Renault in P19 and 20 and both are lapped. You can see the other ghosted car there in front of single track. That is Matt 96. So yeah, it's a bit of strange leading group all together. Tomiko now definitely should be out. We see the first pit stop. First pit stop already over for Tomo, who has opted to continue on medium. Soft to medium for Tomo. Second one to pit was Chris DC. Mediums likewise. So as the top runners are a bit confusing us here right now, I would like to say let's for the moment focus on the leaders of our overall standings. Especially one of them is Chris, who is staying ahead of the ghosted Strippy Duchess. And Chris DC and Hort, those two guys are level on points. Hort is in second at the moment. I suppose that Hort will box at the end of this lap too, not to give Chris more than one lap advantage on his fresher tires. Hort is in the pits and speeded in the pit lane. Oh, whoa, whoa. That is sad. That is really sad. We have seen... Oh, someone in the wall here. That is Tom Brown, who was a bit late on the brakes maybe and touched the barrier there. Will he go to the pits right now? He does. He does. And... let's stay with him for a moment. He will probably get a new nose. Maybe there was some damage. No damage for him. Medium tires for the rest of the race, or at least for the next stint for him. Smith in the pits now too. Chris DZ is in 11th. 10th now, as he just overtook wheel to wheel, not decided yet, against the Red Bull of Mark Hughes. Now it is. Now he pushed through. Yeah, he's now in 10th, while Hort is in 7th. So a few positions and even a few multiple seconds between those two guys who share P1 in the overall standings. Avinash was the leader in the meantime. He opts for hards. Avinash might try to go through on this set of hards for the rest of the race here. Fresh mediums now for Scholten, Hort, Avinash, single track. Hort now in 5th, while Chris DZ is 9th. 3rd in the overall standings. BIT. Edens, by his real name, is... the leader at the moment. Let's jump to him really quick. There he is. Running on his softs, and behind was some Renault, some lapped Renault, who was just crashing out after getting too close to him, being too much in the dirty air probably. And I would like to assume that Edens will stop here and now. Let's have a look. 10 laps already on his softs. Yes, so they should be rather degraded by now. He's in. Let's stay with him for a moment. Let's see where he will end up after the pit stop. He will continue on mediums. Medium stint next for him. P5 at the moment. P6 now. Still not that bad considering to where he came from on the starting grid. And we have some leading battle going on here. Tomo and Fabian Scholten close to each other. Tomo, a little bit of an acceleration troubles. And wheel to wheel, this doesn't go well. No, no, no. You cannot attack there. You cannot go wheel to wheel in this section. And Scholten and Tomo paid for it. And the lucky, haha, have a look. The lucky guys are Chord and Avinash who slipped through. And just need to check that right now for Avinash. Avinash started on P15, and now he is in second and battling for maybe a podium in the end. But yeah, he's running on hards while everyone else around him is going on mediums. I would like to say that stopping for hards maybe was a mistake for him. I suppose he was intending to run long on this hards to back up his position and to make up a few more positions on the pit stop strategy, but now he already is second and he cannot make up a lot more. He will rather drop positions maybe against the medium runners around him. And right now I think he would be off better if he had mediums too and would just go with the flow of the drivers around on their next pit stops. But okay, we will see what's gonna happen. We haven't seen a safety car or VSC yet. All that is still yet to come. Maybe, maybe not, we will see. For the moment we see Fabian Scholten chasing Avinash over the... He is within the DI, but he does not able to really be able to attack Avinash, even though he is in the DS window and has the faster tire. Right now you see the Aston Martin is split. Now here's the attack, this should go easily on the second longest straight of the season. Yes, it does. It does. Yes, everything's alright. Behind Avinash is the lap Tomiko, so he's not a threat. And Avinash has dropped the position. I was expecting him already a bit earlier. And Tomo is in fourth, 4.4 seconds behind Avinash. Yeah, Scholten and Tomo touched and both have spun, but the damage, at least speaking about times, for Tomo was a lot heavier than for Scholten. Yeah, and now Fabian Scholten is crawling away of Avinash. The Racing Point driver is not even in the DRS window anymore. So we can easily have a look at someone else, at something else, wherever is racing action going on. Maybe, who do we jump to? Maybe we will stay a little moment, because it seems like that Scholten committed a little bit of a mistake. Have a look, Avinash is back with 6/10 of gap, and this was already over a second. He was out of the DRS window already. Now he is closer again, and both of them, by the way, are catching up to Gort in the lead. 3.6 seconds. It was at 4.5 or maybe even 5 seconds a few laps ago. Yellow somewhere in sector 2, but everyone is running there, so no crash. So now Avinash should be back inside the DRS window. I heard the beep, but he didn't. Ah, now he did. A bit late that he split the BWT. Ooh, very close. Have a look how close he came here in the end. And a bit of a tag to the left Renault behind him. And in the second DRS zone, he'll get close, but not enough for a real attack. So let's again try to have a look at some racing action. We see Al Davis, who is close to Scoots, and not even close. He has overtaken him. And Mark Hughes goes with him. Does he? He does. Oh, how evil is that? Scoot lost 2 positions on just one straight. And on the next straight right here, Scoot will not have the RS again. No, he does not. Behind him, the lap pole setter. That's really heavy to take. Mark Hughes having a bit of troubles here in these 19 degrees turns. Let's stay with Scoot here for a moment. These turns are vicious to take, and there we see why Mark Hughes has crashed into the wall and dropped the position to Strippy Dodges, who was not lapped yet but is still ghosted as he left the session and did not return yet. While we have managed to reach the halfway mark of the race. So the next racing action, we see Smith chasing Tom Brown here within the or inside the DRS window. DRS should be opened up here, yes. Tom Brown already on the defending line, but unnecessary for the next turn. At the moment, at least. So here we go into the fast turns here again. And Smith can go a lot faster. You can visually see how he is crawling up due to the faster soft tire, of course. Here through Forosol, lapping Matt. Tom Brown was a little bit wide there. Let's have a look. Tom Brown might have some DRS too due to the lapping. No, he does not. He does not. Easy overtake for Smith. Just cruises by. No chance for Tom Brown to do anything against it. Another time that Smith can activate DRS here to eventually totally run away from Tom Brown. And single track is close to Christie C here in Forosol. At least I think he should be in the DRS window. Interestingly, Avinash on P3 has managed to stay within the DRS window of Fabian Scholten, and Scholten has closed a bit of gap. Another second he carried away, he dragged away from the gap Chord had a bit earlier. Just 2.7 seconds the gap for Chord. We have seen this already at around about 5 already a few laps before. We see both drivers here with some lock up front tires. Overtake coming up from Bald Boy. There it is. Bald Boy pushing ahead over Plasterer then. Became a little bit late, but it was interesting as the Hards runner Ferrari was able to overtake the soft runner Williams. Let's stay with Dan here for a moment. Next DRS zone in favor of Dan this time, but no attack possible. And after Photosol, things look totally different. He still is in the DS window, yes, but no chance to stay close. It's interesting that the Hards runner can crawl away so much so fast. Yeah, let's have a look where some racing action is going on. We have a position swap here on P2. What's going on? Fabian Scholten lost the position to Avinash. And they go wheel to wheel into the DRS zone. Who has the advantage? Avinash has. Avinash is the RS equipped here. Big advantage. Oh, he's jumpy here. Ah, that's unpleasant for Scholten. You never know if he might jump right into your car in the next turn. And he might just giving a little bit of space here to avoid a potential crash. And all their fighting has backed up the gap for Chord again, so we've seen it at approximately 2.5 seconds, and now we are over 5 of distance between P1 and 2. This is a DS zone for Scholten, then through Photosol, and then the next long one. So in theory, Scholten should be able to overtake Avinash easily. Yeah, but we have seen about Praxis in theory already a few times in this race. DRS activated, yes it is. And he's crawling up a little bit, but not really far. Next DRS zone. No chance for an attack for Fabian Scholten. This is really amazing how the Hards can be quite competitive here in this race against the mediums. So I was calling on Avinash maybe committing a little bit of a mistake for not going on mediums, but I was wrong. I admit I was wrong. He did everything right thus far in this race. Coming from P15 and is, yeah, in a potential at least podium, maybe even race victory. So as there has been no safety car and no not even a VSC. The field is rather far away of each other. Scholten at the moment, indeed the only driver who is inside the DRS window, while both of the drivers overtake the lap mat. Further, after 22 laps, we see not one DNF yet. We know that one or two drivers has had some internet connection issues or gave up the race and left the session. Can never really know that, but no real DNF, so applause to that. No one has checked out thus far. And now Scholten is out of the DRS window. That's very interesting. Really incredible to me. How can a hard runner push a medium outside the 1 second window? Incredible. Really incredible. But as there is no attack coming up, we see Chris in the pits. Let's maybe stay with him for a moment. Chris versus Hort, I remember the big fight for P1 overall. Chris will finish the race on mediums. He doesn't risk anything because pitting now for softs would have been maybe very long, a bit too long maybe for the softs in the end. He didn't risk it and has opted for mediums. Jonso did just the other way around. He just pitted for softs. He will try to make him last for the rest of the race. I would like to think that everyone who's running on mediums will try to make him last 1 or 2 laps longer to be safe, to get over the race on a set of softs now. Tom Brown in the pits here, while we see Chris pushing through against Stoop. He wouldn't have to do it that harsh because Stoop is still in need of a pit stop. But okay, he wanted to have it done. Wanted to avoid that Stoop would hold him up too long. We see Hort, our virtual leader, pitting for fresh soft single track in now too. So the second pit window is officially open. Jonso out of the pit lane, back in P5. Quite good of his position at the moment. Further, he's running on the faster tire against his rival Chris. Chris might have an advantage in the end when Hort's softs start to degrade. But until then, Hort should be able to build up some gap on Chris. Scholten now in the pits. Let's have a look at him. I suppose he will finish on softs. Yes, it is. Red tires on the Red Bull for his last stint. Tomo in the pits. Softs for him too. I think everyone will now try to finish this race on red tires. For the last 10 or 11 laps, this should work. For who was it? Who was the first one to stop on softs? I think Jonso. I'm not sure if that is possible. And Chris with his 1 lap old mediums, he might be the big loser of this last stint when everyone else of the front rows will now try and finish on softs, and he's the only one on mediums. He will lose a lot of times in the next few laps. He can only hope that their softs will degrade very soon. We are now in the last 10.5 laps and the weather still looks fine, so there should not be rain coming in. While we see now Tomo behind Oliet, but he will have to stop soon again. No total need for fighting him, but he pushed through still. Pit stop for Avinash. This will be big now. Avinash did not go through on hards. And Avina is already out of the pit lane in 4th. But ahead, BIT, Mr. Eden's still in need of a stop, so Avinash will be on the podium in the end, definitely. Coming from P15. So, Fabian Scholten, we see him here, is 2.3 seconds away from Chord. This gap has been up and down a lot in this race. We've seen it already at 5 seconds or even more already. So now it's even under the 2 seconds mark. And there has been an issue. There has been an issue for Edens. He didn't stop yet, but he dropped the position to Chord. He will stop now, I think. Yes, he does. Chord back in the lead. So, in the end, the big fight for the last quarter of this race will be Chord against Era Voice, Fabian Scholten and Avinash. Because it looks like Chord is having himself a good race, but Scholten is faster. He was able to close the gap in the last few laps. And here we are with Avinash, who is already in the DRS window. Oh, we see someone in the walls there. Tom Brown it was. Not a big issue, I think, but he dropped positions a lot. So the big thing now is the big question for the last quarter of this race. Avinash, Era Voice, Fabian Scholten, or Chord. Well, we see 2 lappings here at once. Avinash and Scholten, they are faster. They definitely are faster than Chord. That is visible here. The big question is, will those 2 guys battle it out right now for P2? Or, okay, you can scratch the or because here's the attack. Yes, went rather easily. Next DRS zone will work for Avinash again. Just to finish my thought, I was thinking if they might not attack each other and try to get towards Chord together, and definitely, because if those 2 guys were battling it out for a few laps, Chord would have just enough of gap maybe to stay in the lead then. But Avinash is fast here, and it looks like it's just a matter of a question of turns until he will be able to attack Chord. He's jumpy again, not the best connection for him today, I think. While all that has happened, it looks like Scholten is a little bit out of the DRS window, and that cannot happen. He cannot let Avinash crawl away, because then his win possibilities are over for the race. And Avinash in the DRS window of Chord. The last 6 plus this lap is on. Will we see the attack for the lead right here? DRS zone in favor of Avinash. Chord needs to defend himself And no attack yet. No attack yet, and have a look, Scholten 1.7 seconds away. Avinash just overtook him last lap. And Scholten needs to pick up the pace. He was faster on the softs, but right now he looks a lot slower. Faster on the mediums, of course. All of the drivers were running on mediums earlier. Scholten was faster on the mediums, but looks like he drops time on the softs. So the next DRS zone upcoming. 6 exactly now. 6 laps remaining in this race. Half a second the gap of Avinash. BWT is split, and here's the attack. Here's the attack. Wheel to wheel push for the lead. And he does. New leader Avinash. And the next DRS zone again in his favor. And Hart needs to stay within the 1 second window in this lap now if he wants to at least think about a chance for a counter. And Scholten is dropping back even further, will soon be 2 seconds away. So the big question right here, can Hart stay inside the DRS window or not? He can for the moment, so this DRS zone was in favor for him after Photosol, the baseball stadium. The next long DRS zone on the main straight. So Hart lost the lead, but he did the least that he had to do, and that was staying within a second. AlphaTauri is, yeah, looking to the sky, and he is able to get a little bit closer. No attack yet. Can he make it happen on the second DRS zone? I doubt it. He looks a bit far away here. No chance. Have a look. No chance for Hart. So we will come back to this battle soon, but for the moment let's have a look what's going on in the midfields, as Olliet is very close to Baldboy. Baldboy, who had a great quali and a bad start of the race, but was able to get back to the points in P8 right now, but needs to defend himself against Olliet. DRS zone in favor of Olliet, the AlphaTauri driver. No chance to attack, at least for the moment. So the only drivers who are battling for positions right now seem to be Olliet in the battle against Baldboy for P8, and Hart against Avinash in the battle for nothing else but the lead. Oh, and the lead. We are close here again. Have a look at the end of the DRS zone. Hart almost close enough. And there's the next DRS zone. He sits in the gearbox of Avinash here at the beginning of the DRS zone. Will he attack him here? Avinash defending on the inside line. Wheel to wheel into turn 4. Wheel to wheel still, and Avinash still ahead. Bit of acceleration troubles there for both drivers. Avinash stays ahead at least for the moment. 3.5 laps left to decide the battle for the lead. Avinash looked faster, but Hart was able to pick up the pace again to first stay in the DS window, and second now he seems to be able to fight back. Tomiko being lapped here a little bit in the way, I think. Even though he's a ghost, this is distracting. And Hart is out of the DRS window. The lapping of Tomiko distracted Hart so much that he has had to let Avinash slip away a little bit. And even further, era-wise, Fabian Scholten is close enough again. Close enough to open the DRS wing. So while these guys do not attack yet, let's have a look what Oliet is doing against our Bald Boy. Bald Boy, by the way, 27 laps on his hards. Can't believe it. He's traveling through the whole race on his set. And here's the attack. Yes, on the outside. And here it is, P8 for the AlphaTauri. And back to the front. Here is Airwise, Scholten close to Hort. And he can see the leader there in front. It is Fabian Scholten in P3. Can see the prime position, P1. And we enter the last 2 laps. Who is in attack or in defend mode? Hort cannot attack. Hort will have to defend and loses the position here to Fabian Scholten. That looked rather easily for Scholten. Another DRS zone in the favor of the Red Bull. And can Scholten now even attack Avinash already again in the DRS window? So it's up and down of the drivers in front. You think one has an advantage, but just a few turns afterwards this advantage is maybe gone for the last lap. Now let's have a look at the penalty situation. Not the biggest trouble overall, I would like to say. Pick out your favorite driver and have a look where a penalty might bring him to, but for the moment we focus here on the leading triple, the threesome battle for the race victory as we enter the last 4.5 kilometers of this race. The last lap is on, dear ladies and gentlemen. These are the last lap heroics for our podium drivers. Let's have a look what will happen. Scholten in attack mode. Scholten attacking Avinash. There you see, there you can see the wheel-to-wheel and the JCB sponsored label. Avinash made a mistake. Avinash made the final mistake. Can you believe it? They were wheel-to-wheel. Avinash was troubling on the acceleration, and after leading in the late stage of the race, he has thrown it away. Oh my goodness, how evil is that? And he is out of the attack. He cannot attack anymore. He is in third. He is too far away, and Hort, I think, is too far away either. He is in the DRS window, but just a few laps, no, a few turns, just the baseball stadium left for Fabian Scholten, and it will be very close, just less than a second. But in the end, he will be the first one to cross the checkered flag. Fabian Scholten wins in Mexico. What an impressive, what an intense final of this race, won by Red Bull in front of the AlphaTauri of Hort. And what a race for Avinash, what an incredible race for him. Such a bad qualifying, starting in P15, crawling up with a really good strategy onto the podium, even into the lead, and then he defended himself so well in the end, but committed this one final mistake in turn 4. And yeah, will be very interesting to see and hear if he is glad that he was in P3, or that if he is angry that he threw away the race win very late. Anyway, a good result for the Racing Points. Avinash third, and BIT, Mr. Edens, then in 4th. That's quite good for the Racing Point team. We will see the overall result in just a moment. So here's our podium, the virtual version of Michael Schumacher snatching P3, and virtual champagne for Fabian Scholten and Adrian Newey in the background. There he is. So here is the final result after penalties, after this exciting race in Mexico. Era Voice, Fabian Scholten won the race. In second, Hort. In third, Avinash. What a great race for him. Just as good, coming in from P17, BIT in fourth. Fifth goes to Tomo. 6, Chris. 7, Single Track. 8, Olliet. 9, our Bald Boy. P10, Stu. P11, Honso. P12, for Mr. Davies, P13 Smith, 14 Plaster Dan, P15 our pole setter Strippy Duchess, P16 Scoots, 17 for Tom Brown, 18 Mark Hughes, 19 Matt, and last position for Tomiko, the only one who did not finish. So with the last pictures of the Photosol Stadium, thank you guys for watching the Monday Race Club. Was a great race, was a lot of action going on. I think, or I hope you enjoyed it just as much as I did. And yeah, the Monday Race Club will return, of course, next Monday, you guessed it. And we will head then to the legendary track of Spa-Francorchamps, and then the regular commentator CRL Ferg, Mr. Ferguson, will be back with you and tune this into your living room. Thanks for being with us here tonight. I'm Sepp Bauer, and I hope you enjoyed it just as much as I did. Have a good Monday evening, have a good rest of your week. Stay safe in these times, of course. And keep racing.